Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up on today's show, Ashton Jeanty made a change to his game. We'll talk about what it is. We'll talk about which coach helped him make this change. I also wanted to be able to give my 2 cents on whether or not it makes sense, because I am a person that believes if it's not broken, don't fix it. And then probably maybe the number one reason why y'all tuning into the show, Christian Wilkins injury news. What you should know, what you should believe, and we will leave it like that. If you do not know, though, this is going to be a show that always does its best to keep you guys up to date, and I want you to subscribe. That way you can become a real one. Also, if you don't know, I am filming this live right now because I go live every single Tuesday, and I've had some people ask me recently, Mitch, I can't comment during your live shows. The only reason why you can't comment on a live show is because you're not subscribed. This is how I know which people are subscribed. In my mind, May, June, and July, I always want to show love to the real ones. So please subscribe today and become a real one of the Raiders Report. Let's talk about Ashton Jeanty and this big change that he is making to his game. And if you haven't seen it yet, this is what it is. So Jeanty is changing his pre-snap stance. Chip Kelly changed Jeanty's pre-snap stance the first day of rookie minicamp, and Jeanty is kind of known for his straight-up pre-snap stance. So I know a lot of times when you see a running back get ready, they got their hands on their knees, they're ready to go, and then they get north and south. Jeanty was really known for being a back that stood up just like this, straight up. This is the best picture that I could find that I think illustrates the way Jeanty stands. If you can't see Jeanty, he's the running back all the way on the far left of that screen. But then, if you haven't noticed, Jeanty has been going up with this new hands on the knees type of getting ready set, and it's made a story because, again, Jeanty, Heisman Trophy finalist, best running back in the class, and a lot of people were going, well, he did it his entire career. Why are we going to try to change it up? Why are we going to try to switch it up? And that stance kind of became famous in a sense for Jeanty. Here's what Jeanty had to say on Chip Kelly changing his stance. Sometimes you got to go with the flow. What's crazy is Chip Kelly, he comes up to me first day of rookie minicamp. He's like, you play basketball? You ever play basketball? I'm like, yeah, I played basketball. I could dunk, all that. He's like, okay, show me how you would guard me. So in the clip where Jeanty is sitting down talking to Kay Adams and kind of talking about how this whole interaction ended up going, Jeanty then gets into a defensive stance like basketball and puts his hands up. Chip says that's exactly why you have to be down in your running back stance. So I look at it as him just being in the most ready position at all times, and I think that the fact that Jeanty is just going ahead and doing it, you really got to tip your cap to him. But my question is this. Do you like or do you dislike the idea of Chip Kelly changing Jeanty's stance? This is going to be the pinned comment here on today's show, so please go down, let me know, like or dislike. My answer coming up after this YouTube ad break. I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to say that I like the fact that Chip Kelly did this. And I do really, really subscribe to the idea if it's not broken, don't fix it. But I like the fact that Chip Kelly did this, and I like the fact that the Raiders did it because this tells me this. No player, especially a rookie, is too good or too big of a name to be coached. I don't give a shit if your name's Max Crosby. I don't give a shit if your name's Geno Smith. I bet you this. I bet you Andy Reid will walk right up to Patrick Mahomes and go, hey, if I think that I can make you better, I'm going to tell you how I think I can make you better. And a great player like an Ashton Jeanty, like a Max Crosby might go, shit, what if that's the 1% that makes me better? And I will admit that I do think that Chip Kelly's logic does make a lot of sense to me, but I also understand if it's not broke, don't fix. But this is why I love Ashton Jeanty. This is why you have to bring in a player like this because it's not just about him, and he understands the bigger picture. So coming up here, my thoughts on Jeanty making the change because this is what Jeanty also had to say on Chip Kelly changing his stance. He won for now. I'm going to try to persuade him one day. I've got to earn my stripes. Make some plays first, but I don't think it's going to be the end. So essentially what Jeanty is saying there to me is like, I'm going to listen to my coach right now. I got to go out there. I got to earn my own stripes. And if I'm able to get out there and show him that I could be an unbelievable running back, then maybe he'll allow me to go back to my stance. But what I love is Jeanty every single time he speaks. He almost reminds me just how truly of a humble superstar he is. And for those of you that are watching this live, I'm going to talk about this humble superstar quote again when I talk about John Spytek a little bit later in the show. But good teams turn great when their stars, and I mean when your star is able to put the team first and their ego aside. I'm not sitting up here saying Ashton Jeanty has an ego. What I am saying, though, is every single NFL player probably does at least have, a little bit of an ego. And when you're able to push that aside to say, I'm going to do whatever my coaches say, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to put this team first, I freaking love that. And he says that he's got to earn his stripes. We know Jeanty was unbelievable in college. And not that I don't care about it, but I'll be real. I don't really give a shit about it. I don't care how good you were in college. I care about how good you're going to be in the silver and black, and the message that Jeanty put out there was clear. I'm going to listen to my coaches. I'm going to do what they tell me to do, and then when I earn their respect, then I will speak my mind, and maybe I can go back to it. That is exactly what you want your superstars to do, and if you're a Raiders fan and you want to get this thing going in the right direction 2 to 3 years, I'll be real. I don't know if Antonio Pierce gets that type of credit. But a guy like Chip Kelly will. A guy like Pete Carroll does. And you see time and time again that this team is doing what's important. So what I want you to do right now is hit the like button if you agree with this statement that I'm going to make. If Ashton Jeanty goes out and he breaks the Raiders' rookie rushing yards record, then I'm going to let him pick his stance. If he wants to go out there and stand like the way Kevin Youkilis used to bat, I don't give a shit as long as he's rushing the rock. If you don't know the Raiders' rookie rushing leaders, here is where they stand. Josh Jacobs is the only rookie running back for the Silver and Black to ever go over 1,000 yards. So if Jeanty goes out here in year one and he rushes for 1,151 yards, don't get me wrong. If he went for 14 or 1,000, barely underneath, if Jeanty wanted to do it, if the coaching staff was okay with it, I'm okay with it. But I am at the end of the day, I'm going, I hear Jeanty, what he's saying. I respect what he's saying. But he does need to be able to go out there and prove it for the Raiders. And if he can prove to me that he's even better standing straight up, who knows? Sky's the limit for this guy. So crystal ball time. Look into those crystal balls of yours and give me a more or give me a less. 1,150 rushing yards this season for Ashton Jeanty. For anybody that has watched this show multiple times knows that I am going to go with the more, and I've already put the more, and I've already put my money where my mouth is over on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. Prize Picks, you can mix and max your player projections from different sports. Combine your favorite baseball players with players from basketball, hockey, esports, and much more. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. So for me, one of the things that I've always wanted to try to show you guys is when I roll with PrizePicks, I try to show you guys my lineup. And the season-long lineup that I have right now is this. And you can already see Ashton Jeanty, I took the more on the rushing yards. This is a $20 lineup to win 370. You also have to add another player from another team just because you can't only roll with one team. But Geno Smith, Ashton Jeanty, Brock Bowers, Max Crosby, give me the more on it. Joe Burrow, I ended up going with the more on that one as well. So download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks allows you to run your game, and I want you to run your game all season long with our awesome sponsor. So, and here's actually one of the coolest parts that they're doing right now. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the Diamond if you're a big baseball fan. You could go more or less for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. So download the app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup over on PrizePicks. Coming up next here on the Raiders Report, I wanted to break down the Christian Wilkins injury news. Raise your hand at home if you've heard that Christian Wilkins has been in a walking boot. Raise your hand this offseason if you are confused on what exactly is happening with Christian Wilkins. I'll be the first to tell you, I am also a little bit confused because there's been so many different reports out there that are confusing to me. And recently, there was a report from Anthony Galaviz from the Fresno Bee, and he said this. As the Athletics' Tashawn Reed reported on Monday, Wilkins is back in a walking boot, according to team sources. That is not good considering the Raiders hope to have him back by training camp, but the team is mum on Wilkins' recovery, Reed said. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that statement made by Anthony Galaviz and the Fresno Bee, it's very misleading, and I know that there's a lot of confusion around the Wilkins injury, but you know what? I know that Anthony is not the only one putting that out there. I also saw a tweet from the Raiders Wire today that said, Raiders top interior defensive lineman back in a walking boot as OTAs begin, and then they put a link down there to Wilkins. What's confusing about this Wilkins injury is Deshaun Reed was not there yesterday. Like, nobody from the Raiders media was at May 19th. They did not allow media in the building at all, so there's no way of knowing if Wilkins was actually in a boot or not. But what's interesting is they keep referring to a report that Deshaun Reed put out on Monday, May 19th. I don't know about you. I'm reading something completely different from Raiders Wire and this other Anthony guy. That's not what I read at all. This is the exact report Deshaun Reed put out. Wilkins played just 5 games last season before suffering a Jones fracture in his left foot that required surgery and knocked him out for the rest of the year. His injured foot was placed in a walking boot, but he was out of it by the end of the season. Then earlier this offseason, his foot was placed back in a boot, according to team sources. He was back out of the boot during OTA workouts recently, but the back and forth has raised some questions about his recovery process. Nowhere in that report does it state that Christian Wilkins is back in a walking boot. And here's the thing. If you didn't know that Wilkins had a boot on this offseason, then you should definitely hit that subscribe button because Wilkins had a boot on before the NFL draft. And this was something that we talked about multiple times on this show. And I know that there's questions being raised about the Tony Pauline report from many months ago and that we might have to get another surgery on this Wilkins boot. But at the same exact time, I'm sitting up here going, well, Deshaun wasn't there yesterday. There was no Raiders beat reporters at media yesterday. There's no information to indicate whether or not Christian Wilkins was in a boot. But then I sit back and I go, if our star defensive player was actually a concern for being, getting another surgery, then 1, you'd put him in a walking boot. 2, he wouldn't be participating in non-mandatory practices. Christian Wilkins is out there participating in non-mandatory practices, and I'm a sicko, so I went through and I looked at all the Raiders OTA pictures from Monday. And I don't know if you noticed it, number 94 is standing right over there. There's no walking boot on him. He doesn't have anything. He's out there with the guys. Now, I get it. He doesn't have a helmet on. Maybe that's going to make some people a little bit concerned. Maybe that's an issue. But in terms of this whole walking boot thing, I don't read what Deshaun Reed put out as he's in a walking boot. I read it as he was in a walking boot, and he was in a walking boot months ago. I shouldn't say months ago. At this point, before the NFL draft. So, I know that there are concerns around Wilkins, but I'll be real with you. I don't think Deshaun Reed reported that Wilkins is recently in a boot, saying that, he's recently in a boot in the month of May. It was he's recently in a boot, stating that he was recently in a boot back in April. So hopefully that all makes sense. I am not all that concerned with the Wilkins injury. If more information ends up coming out, then we'll address it. But I just have a hard time believing that the Raiders are making their star defensive tackle practice, and Wilkins is out there practicing if he's about to have another surgery on a foot, especially in non-mandatory practices. So all I want people to do is go back and look at that report again by Deshaun Reed and read actually if he is saying that he's in a boot recently or that he once was in a boot. Because I read it as he was once in a boot, which is true, not that he is in a boot right now. That's why you hit that subscribe button. That's why you turn on those notifications. If any more information comes out on this Wilkins injury, I will do my best to keep you up to date here on the Raiders Report.